Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am back, or sort of back. I'm not back with the Defense Saga series that I did promise quite yet. I'm on a long, top secret RNG grind once again on this very unique account, so it might be some more time until you can see that, but you expect a couple more episodes of that, hopefully in the near future, if I finally get some decent luck around here. I've been doing the same task for 5 to 6 months, over 700 hours of in-game time. So expect a big video eventually on that, hopefully one day. Today's video is a special video indeed. It's kind of a filler video, but this one kind of just fell in my lap, and it was all because of a tweet from Ollie. Ollie's done all kinds of things in the past. He has great vast game knowledge, and so I want to give him credit where credit's due. This item he managed to pull off of Tutorial Island was a lot more of a sophisticated process, as you'll see in this video, than I initially thought it would be. Unlike the burnt umi wrap, which seemed to be a literal two-step process of just going to the snow area with a full inventory of raw birds and throwing it on a fire, this one was a little bit more complex, and it made me actually have to break down and spend a couple of days trying to reverse engineer and figure out what he did to get this raw shrimp. And why am I so interested in a raw shrimp? Well, I'm not really, this is for just a video, but why is this shrimp so interesting maybe to other people? Well, because it's not a normal raw shrimp. It's off of Tutorial Island. It's an entirely different item ID. It's still tradable, so that makes it an extremely rare item. I believe that Ollie is one of the very few people in the game that have it now. And what I'm going to try and do is, yes, reverse engineer his process, try and do some investigation, discovery, trial and error, try and figure out what's going on. How did he get this raw shrimp off the island? And you're going to see how long, weird, and niche of a process this is, and hopefully learn some very niche things about the game RuneScape throughout this entire video that hopefully you didn't know, because if you did, you're just a fucking weirdo like myself. But before we talk about raw shrimp, I wanted to give a shout out to our sponsor for today's video, Raid Shadow Legends. Raid Shadow Legends has established itself as the leading mobile and PC game of the last few years, and they don't stop. They've recently added the Doom Tower, which is an in-game piece of content that has over 120 levels. Right now, Raid is also running an amazing trick-or-treat Halloween promotion where you can win a bunch of real-life and in-game prizes, including a $1,000 Amazon gift card and some of the best epic and legendary Halloween champions. It's all free. All you need is your Raid player ID. Just download Raid with my link in the description below. Then head to trickortreat.plarium.com. To make it even easier, I'll link that in the description too. From there, you can enter your details and spin the wheel and get your prize. Don't wait around. The special event runs October 15th through November 5th. Only new players can win a prize, so there's no better time to start playing than right now. You can also use DK Rise's promo code and level any of your strongest champions all the way to level 50. I am now in a new hat. There's no green light behind me, and I'm more to the left of my screen. So what are you waiting for? Click my link in the description or scan my QR code here. You'll get unique bonuses worth $30. We're talking a free epic champion Vergis, 200,000 silver, 1 energy refill, 1 XP boost, and 1 ancient shard. So yeah, I guess that's all you get. All of that treasure will be waiting for you here, and I'll see you in the game. Okay, so back on the topic of raw shrimp. Well, first of all, raw shrimp isn't the only item in Tutorial Island that has a different counterpart and a different item ID than that in the main game. There's actually 4 of these items. You have the raw shrimp, you have bones from rats, you have a pot of flour, and then you have the 4th one being logs. Weird fact about the logs is they're untradeable, and lighting them causes you to have a character stall. So the real 3 tradable items are pot of flour, bones, and the raw shrimp. And that's why I thought to myself, why did Ollie only take the shrimp off, or why did he only publicize the shrimp? And I had to go back to my previous experiences in order to maybe kind of comprehend this. Well, for example, in Castle Wars, only the newer items like combat potions are telegrabbable. That's because there's failsafes on a lot of the older items because they were just programmed a lot better. For instance, barricades you can't telegrab along with bandages. They have anti-telegrab mechanics, whereas the newer items don't. And the raw shrimp is one of the newer items in Tutorial Island. So my first clue was this, at least I thought. I had to telegrab the shrimp somehow from off the island. But there was a lot of problems with this. I first had to find line of sight. I went to the plugin hub and downloaded a tool called line of sight. The old RuneLite had developer features where you could see line of sight defaultly from the admin tools, but nowadays we're gonna have to use the plugin hub. So here we have the line of sight tool, and I'm checking every possible angle from the island to the mainland. None of these even come close, but one. The Lumberj Swamp mining rocks come very close. Unfortunately, some of the tiles that I do come close to, I can't physically stand on by these rocks. There's actually invisible walls there. So I could not telegrab because a telegrab is a 10 tile range, and the closest range I can stand on the Lumberj Swamp area is 11 tiles away from the tutorial island shore. So we're exactly only 1 tile away from being able to telegrab straight from this area in the Lumberj Swamp. I checked a few more places on the island and there just wasn't line of sight, except for one, and it was exactly 10 tiles, and you could only get the line of sight from one way, being from the node to tutorial island, not the other way around. I even tried attacking a seagull from the tutorial island to the node, and I couldn't see it. But for some reason, a player looking from the node to tutorial island could see this tile, and therefore technically could telegrab an item from it if they were in the group with this player, because to get on the node, you have to be a group Iron Man. But here's another major problem. Tutorial Island has a very special mechanic where anything you drop on Tutorial Island disappears after only 30 seconds being visible to your player. Normal drop mechanics drop for 2 minutes before disappearing, 1 minute to your player, and then 1 minute after that to everyone around you. So if no one around you, not even your own group Iron Man somehow, can see this, then there's no way they're going to telegrab it, because it won't appear to them even if you're in the group. So the only answer to this question would mean I would have to telegrab the item myself. But how would I get over to the node, get 33 magic, and then telegrab this by trading another group Iron Man I just joined for Law Runes and Air Runes in under 30 seconds before the shrimp disappeared? Well, I wouldn't, because that's physically impossible. Or is it? I tried a couple things here. One, I got membership on Tutorial Island, meaning I needed to not get a bond from another player because you can't find players with bonds on Tutorial Island. I needed to actually go on the website and use membership codes to get membership while still on Tutorial Island. From here, I hopped over to a PvP world. Yes, there's a free-to-play PvP world, but you need many hours of in-game time played before you can even hop to it. The P2P PvP worlds don't have this requirement. Why I hopped into a PvP world was because I wanted to see, in some instances of the wilderness, you drop an item and it appears instantly to everyone, and if I only have 30 seconds to see it on the ground, maybe I can go across the dock, join the other group, and then now that I'm in that group, my team member can then telegrab the item. Well, unfortunately, this was a safe area, and I tested, if you do drop an item in a safe area inside PvP, it won't instantly show to others. It's only in the dangerous areas of the PvP map. So, once again, a no-go. The next thought was, there was an old tutorial island where you could actually get mage as high as you wanted. You could do this because of some bugged reason. You could get ruins, and then you could go back to the rats, and they would give you splash XP. I showed this in my dead-only hardcore Iron Man joke of a video. Unfortunately, there was no dock in this island because it was before even Group Iron Man and the node came out. So if you actually try to get off this island and use an extinct account, it would still, none of this would work because you couldn't drop it. It's an instanced area and you wouldn't be able to see your shrimp on the other side. So that was a no-go as well. We did have some old accounts in the old tutorial island still. We double checked all of this, but what if there was another way to train to 33 magic on the existing tutorial island, kind of like there was on this bugged one? Unfortunately, we tried everything, going back to rats. We even tried luring a seagull over and splashing on that, but like I said, there was only one-way visibility from the dock to the node. There was literally nothing I could find to get magic up inside the node to then hop over, trade my new group member, get ruins very quickly, and telegrab my own shrimp. It just wasn't a plausible idea, even though it kind of made sense to a degree. One interesting thing I found was that in Tutorial Island, tables don't have the same 30-second timer. They have the original 10-minute timer. So if somehow we could put a table on this dock and then put the item on that, then we could telegrab it. But unfortunately, there's no tables just standing out on the sides of the beaches of Tutorial Island. So the other thought was, how do we have the items stay on the ground longer than the 30 seconds? Well, you could die, but unfortunately, many years back that was changed. When you did die before, death mechanics were different and Tutorial Island wasn't a safe death. Now, on Tutorial Island, when you die, if you manage to die, you're not supposed to die technically because the rats know when to hit you. But if you do use a stall like that log I was talking about inside of the rat pits and time everything just perfectly and have just enough luck, you can still die on Tutorial Island. But instead of kicking you to the mainland, dropping all your gear where you were, it's just going to be a safe death and you're going to go back to the start of Tutorial Island and keep everything you have. So no, dying no matter what here is not going to force shrimp onto the ground and give that more than 30-second possibility rather than through the traditional drop. As well, technically the only place you can really die on Tutorial Island, if you really try really hard to, is in the rat pits. There's no way I can think of to remote die in a safe area being that of the dock on the exact tile you need to. So my last telegrab idea was to somehow use the new mechanics of hopping worlds to keep items following you, and maybe if I hopped quick enough, the item wouldn't despawn after 30 seconds, kind of like how if you hop quick enough, your boosts don't go down if you hop before 12 seconds.
Wrong.
There's no way to delay the item from spawning longer than 30 seconds on the ground because it'll track your in-game time. There's no lower limit of if I hop every 1 second, it'll amount to 1 minute instead of 30 seconds of being on the ground. No, it'll always track exactly the in-game ticks you're logged in for and despawn after 30 seconds. So the Tellygrab is looking less and less feasible of an option. It looks like this random 10 tile range and this line of sight we somehow have doesn't lead to much, but I'm still thinking to myself, it has to be something. It's so coincidental that the node came out recently that there's this exact 10 tile range, that there's a shrimp in this guy's picture and it's a newer item. It has to have something to do with Tellygrab or something to do with this 10 tile range to the node. It has something to do with it. I just don't know yet what. So I noticed while on the node on a fresh account, whenever forming a group, the first person you invite, you can invite from a whole 10 tiles away. But the second person you invite is only 1 tile and you have to be right up on them to get that invite across. So I thought to myself, what if I go to the Iron Man tutor on one account, make the account a group Iron Man, then sit at the dock in the exact tile that has line of sight, then on another account go inside the group node and try and invite this other account to my brand new group. Well, I could reach that account, and it even recognized in my game chat that the other account, though, wasn't on the node. So there was a failsafe for this, even though we had perfect line of sight to the other account, and the other account was a group Iron Man. It knew, even though I was in the same map square as the guy on the node, that I technically was not on the node, and I thought, damn, that could have been it, because maybe if I could make my character in the same group, that would mean I could use the group storage in the tutorial island bank and put the shrimp in that storage system, then withdraw it on my other group Iron Man account. It still has something, though, I swear, to do with 10 tiles. 10 tiles, 10 tiles. What is 10 tiles? Telly other is 10 tiles, my friend. Telly other, but what would Telly other have to do with getting a shrimp off? Or anything off for that matter, because I still wouldn't have the magic even if I could Telly other myself. That's when I thought back to some old videos I did. Potato Only Hardcore Iron Man episode 1. I decided to interface as I left the island. While leaving the island in the stall where the mage teleports you off, he replaces your inventory, and then you can use a stackable interface to still keep that inventory, and then whenever you drop something, another weird failsafe will come in and delete your whole inventory. So I remember looking back even further, based on this evidence, on an old video where someone got off the island and was able to drop bronze arrows and duplicate them basically through a different way of getting off the island and interfacing. And so the wizard gives you a stall you can't do anything during and replaces your inventory. So I need to find a way off the island that is not through the wizard or not through the boat through the node, because the boat through the node does the same thing. It fades your character in and out, and during that stall of fading in and out, it replaces your inventory, weirdly enough. And then if you drop something with a stackable interface, it'll delete your inventory, but the node has even another failsafe of a failsafe of a failsafe, where it'll put your inventory back to make sure you have the group Iron Man helmet or the default items you come off the tutorial with. It's really weird. Look at this here. I don't even get it, but it's like a failsafe, then it knocks into another failsafe and puts your inventory back to where it is. Back on track though. What do we have that's an invalid way of leaving the island? Telly other. But how am I going to get a stackable interface through the Telly other? That's where I was totally stuck for a long while. That's because I'm outdated. I don't do bugs, okay? I do manips. I don't know what's going on these days. So all I got right now is the settings panel and the keybind reset button. Whenever you pull up the settings panel, any other interface that's normal will collapse it. So I need to have the floating settings panel up in order to hit the keybind interface thing whenever I have a stall, such as a Telly other animation going through, in order to have the interface on the other end of that and keep my inventory the same without it resetting. Now, here's the problem. Whenever I get Telly othered, that Telly other interface wipes out of my settings panel, so I won't have access to the button, which is now my stackable interface, to get out of the island and then stack that interface in order to keep my current inventory, then possibly drop the raw shrimp or whatever item I want to keep on the ground. Then the plan is to pick it right back up. So yeah, I'm kind of stumped here. The only other stackable interface I know of is like leveling stats. That's it, leveling stats. So what did I do? I decided to go to World 1 and sit in the rat pits of Tutorial Island and collect people's bones and get to 2 XP to level 2, get 22 more bones to get to level 3 in case I messed up the level from 1 to 2. Then I went over to the dock with all these bones and tried to time my telly other with a level up in order for that level up screen to come after the telly other and hold my inventory with just enough time in order to drop my shrimp or whatever I wanted to keep on the ground, and then it would wipe my inventory and then I could pick it back up. There was one problem though. Level ups are stackable interfaces, but they're a tick delayed. So I mistimed level 2 to level 3 with the telly other because it's very hard to time these things correctly in the same tick, but I managed to do it with level 3. And what I could see is there was 1 tick delay that wiped my inventory before the level 3 level up screen or stackable interface popped up. So therefore I realized it can't even be a level up interface. What stackable interface do I have that doesn't use a floating panel that'll collapse to a telly other? What do I have? What can I find? I need to find a new stackable interface in order to keep everything on me long enough for me to drop items on the ground like a raw shrimp. Also keep in mind, all of this testing so far has cost me about 15 membership codes. I'm literally running out because I cannot use bonds. I have to pay for membership on the site to try all this stuff in members worlds with telly others because telly other is a member spell. It's so weird, but I also found that you keep 3 random failsafe items if you have them on you from this weird drop mechanic and from invalidly leaving, and that's like a pot, a loaf of bread, and I think a bucket. Don't ask me why. It was confusing to see, but yeah, you keep those 3 items no matter where they're at in your inventory. Okay, back to finding a stackable interface. I basically explained to my friend, yeah, just use an interface during a stall like climbing a ladder, and if that interface pops up after that stall, you'll know it's stackable. I told him this, and 5 minutes later, not even, he's like, okay, I found one. I'm like, what? You found a stackable interface? He's like, yeah, just use the combat achievements. Sure enough, there you go. Combat achievements, that's it. So I went back on another account, got some more membership again, ran through the whole ordeal, and finally here I am at the dock, in placement, ready for my telly other on a random strange group Iron Man that decided to have telly other that's now on the node, by the way. And here we're going to send the telly other, and the rest is history. Aha! And then I think we dropped them. Aha! Combat achievement, stackable interface from telly other from an exact line of sight square from the node from a random group Iron Man is how you smuggle these items. So that's how I got pretty much the rarest item in the game. Speaking of rarest item in the game, the line of sight to the island from the group node no longer exists. So this is now an extinct item as well. You can no longer get this item, and I don't believe you really can unless they add some more updates in the future that screw this up. It's very fail-safe. It's very complex. Shout out to Ollie again for figuring this out. He's one of the few people, if not the only one, I think, who might have this thing. But actually, who knows? He might have somehow used a different method entirely. Anyways, I managed to get more items off of the island. I spent more money on membership codes. I used these membership codes, ran all the way through the tutorial. I could have technically duplicated bronze arrows and gotten like millions of those things and also dropped those on the ground to pick them back up. But I just tested it out. I only got 247. Don't worry. I'm not a bad man today. As well, little known fact, but this is the only way currently to get 0 magic XP by going through the tutorial island. It's the lowest possible magic XP you can get behind 5 with just splashing Windstrike because I can skip the magic tutorial entirely. And yeah, I managed to even get the pot of flour, the bones, and the logs. And I'm not going to sell these like the Burnt Only crew for gobs of money. No. I think I'm going to hoard these. I don't really care about them, but it's kind of cool to have in the bank. I care about cool RuneScape accounts, not cool RuneScape items. So whoever does want these, I'm giving away my first 2 raw shrimp. You just have to find one of the 2 random frames in this video, and it will show you how to contact me and the secret code you need to collect one of those shrimp. Given the fact that it's still tradable by that time, and Jagex hasn't messed something up, you know, who knows? Anyways, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video today, and I hope you learned something niche and new about RuneScape that you'll probably never use in your life, but was somewhat interesting. As well, speaking of me liking rare accounts rather than rare items, I did get something else out of this manip that is a rare account, and I'll showcase the whole process of that in this coming week. Subscribe to the channel to get notified for that, and trust me, it's going to be an awesome video. It reminds me a lot of Lower the Better mixed with Potato Only Hardcore Iron Man, but it's a one-off video. It's going to be a genuine experience, and I look forward to showcasing it to you all. Thanks again. See you then.